Alright guys, notice the backdrop is a little bit different than where I have been tying previously. My wife got a little tired of lively legs laying around, or a couple feathers here and there, so kind of got kicked out to my shed. Now I did clean it out a little bit, but you can see over here got all my turkey call stuff, a tent, some random stuff. We got some musky flies hanging over there. That box back there is my nymph tying materials. Right in here's some streamer stuff. And right now you can see I'm working on some of these bait fish. Excuse me. And these ones here are going to a buddy of mine. He's a turkey hunter. Also, so we both share the same passions. And kind of a neat order. I just got into these, bass type flies a little bit ago, and I think I've came a pretty long way. One of the things on these that I've done after talking to some guys in a musky fly tying group is prep for this pattern. Now I do that with all of my nymphs, and I don't know why I didn't do it before, but basically what this pattern consists of, you got your hook. I like these B10S Gamakatsu 2 watts. You have a hook, then you got your craft fur, which is your body. This is Extra Select craft fur in white. As you can see, I've done 5 of those bait fish, and I believe one of yesterday's was all done with this. So you flip it over this way, you can see goes about, I don't know, I'd say you might be able to squeeze a dozen or 10 out of one piece of Extra Select craft fur from Hairline. And then on the top, you notice on like an emerald shiner or most bait fish, I put that olive in there. Now it's pretty thin, but once it's in the water, it'll fill out a little bit more. I didn't want to make it too much olive because they don't really have that, but this is a dark olive craft fur. So the 2 colors I use, Extra Select craft fur, white and dark olive. And then we're going to use a method called reverse tying. That I'll show you that with the craft fur. The other thing you're going to need, which I've prepped quite a few of these, I'll show you real quick, is oh, there we go. I probably just did the whole thing backwards when I was showing you my shed. But yeah, there's everything there. One of the things you're gonna need is that fish mask head, and I can't remember what size this is. I think it's either 8.5 millimeter or the size below, but that's from Flyman Fishing Company. You can pick up these heads and the eyes. Try to get a little closer, but I just think they look realistic. They don't add a lot of weight like the fish skulls do, so these are going to be more like a suspending streamer. You might want to look at like a sink tip line or something. So what I did first, prep the heads. I have my hooks. They're sitting in my little fly tying tree here. Those are for crappies that are going to be coming up tomorrow that I'm going to do. A lot of times if I have like these bait fish, they take a little bit more time. I'll, do half dozen at a time, and then I'll jump on some nymphs. So that way, you can get a little bit more bang for your buck if you fish for bass and trout, or muskie and trout. That way you don't get burned out on just doing nymphs all the time or something like that. So first step, obviously put your hook on. Now I already thread this, and I'm like, I'll make a tutorial, like to help you guys out. If you can, you might, there you go, now you can see a little better. I start this like in front of the hook point, probably about 1/4 of an inch or so. And what that's going to do, it's going to give you the overall length of your bait fish. This guy's probably, I don't know, 5 inches long or so. And then I go and I'm pretty meticulous and I focus on consistency. I talked to one of the probably the best box call maker out there, and he told me when you get down to counting the number of thread wraps you have, that's when you know you're consistent, and that's when you know you can repeat the exact same fly every time. Now, I'm not that good. I don't know how many thread wraps, but pretty much when you take this craft fur, you're going to have sections maybe about this thick, maybe a little bit more in the front, and I'll show you. I'll go a little closer on these. But I cut 12 of them, and that gets me right about to the head. Now, sometimes, you might have a little bit more. You might pinch a little more off your scissor. You might cut a little bit more. So I start with 12, and then I go from there. On these, it seems like 14 is the magic number, and then you put your dark olive on top, and then a white one on the bottom. Now, this is how I do these. I don't know. I never researched, never looked at YouTube. I'm still kind of old school on that aspect. I watch one or two videos on reverse tying, and it was on bucktail. But I'll just go ahead and start these. We have our tail tied on there, and that's just a simple, tie it in. Next, what I do, you take your piece of extra select craft fur, and I cover, and what I did was I snipped the overall length, because these are just about the same length, but I stopped it a little bit ahead, so that way when I put this on, I can cover my thread and a little bit of the body to build it, and it should stay roughly about the same length. And then I'll just one wrap around to secure, 2, 3, 4. I have a Regal, so I just rotate. And on these types of patterns, it's imperative that you have that vise almost at a straight 90. Now I'm gonna be getting a Regal Revolution here, and it's true rotary, where this one here, it's a little bit off. It's not too bad, but then we'll put our other one on. We'll try to keep it at that same. If you look, you see how they kind of line up. If you go back too far, your bottom's going to be longer. If you go up, or if you go back too far, your bottom will be shorter. I try to keep them about the same. Pinch it, go around, one, and of course, because I'm doing this video, it's going to screw up on me here. But, pinch it, one, and it's okay if it gets wrapped around a little bit. It's not really going to hurt it. 2, 3, 4. I like to do 4. Go, and this craft fur, it gets a little goofy, but then I'll go ahead and spread it like this. Okay, you have 2 separate entities there. This is just your, pen you can swipe from work. Go ahead and put it on over the hook. I hold the top up and the bottom. Now, the further you go back, the more material it grabs. And these first couple are going to look pretty messy. I'm not going to lie. But once you start adding more to it, it'll go. And I'm going to move my finger. It's tough to see, but you make like a cone. And right at the bottom of the cone, that's where we're going to start our next one. So I'll grab another piece of my pre-cut craft fur. Lay it on, and I put the end of it just a little bit past where the other thread is. Wrap it around. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull it up. Pull it down. Get it out of your way. Grab another one, and if you can see that you have some that are a little thicker, I like to put those ones on the top. A fish is kind of his shoulders and that, he's a little thicker on top. So if I do notice that some are a little thicker than others, that's what I do. I don't really know if it makes much of a difference, because you know what I mean, the fish that see them are going to see them from below. So then again, we have our little cone shape. Grab another one. Nice and thick. Got it covered, a little bit over. And when I was doing these before, I found one, I had my material back a little too far. Now they're still going to be a good fly. It just, material utilization, bulk, things of that nature, you can really, you know, save some time. Now, I had to tie about a dozen, maybe 2 dozen of these things until I figured it out. And you can look, this thing looks wild and goofy right now. But as we keep going along, it's going to take a better shape. It's going to look a little better. And whenever I make that first wrap, I don't know if you can tell, it's about a 16th. And then I wrap forward, applying a little bit more pressure as I'm coming down. And that'll give me a nice cone shape. And it doesn't matter if you have a little gap there, because you're not going to see it, because you're going to fold your craft fur back over top. We'll go ahead, just keep rolling through this. There's some snow geese flying overhead right now. I can hear them flying in the night. But no, it's not a hard pattern. It's just time consuming, as you can see, because you just got to keep repeating this step, the reverse tying. And what I love about this, and it blew my mind when I watched my first video on how to do the bucktail ones, is your thread is totally encapsulated. Now, craft fur, I don't think is quite as, durable and robust as bucktail is, but it's still good material. I want to say the biggest thing, when it's in the water, it's going to move a lot more than what bucktail does. Like, bucktail moves, but I want to say craft fur is going to be a little bit more movement out of it. When you pause, it's going to undulate a little more, and it's just because it's a thinner material there. So, keep rolling. I think maybe I only had 10 there. I'm not sure, or maybe it's just because I'm talking, but we're going to come up a little short, so what we'll have to do is just cut a little bit more craft fur, and you see, tie on top, rotate, tie on the bottom. Now, there might be a way where you can spin this a little better and, not have to do 2 separate ties. I don't know. I didn't look it up. This way it works, so I'm going to keep rolling with it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I don't think I'll be able to show you. I'll try. Here we have our